Hey guys, it's Pete from Beef Anxiety here. Welcome in today's episode. I appreciate y'all being here so much. Let's talk about a few things real quick. The Pete vs. Anxiety Team Anxiety Facebook group. Are you a part of it? You're not? What are you waiting for? The link's down here in the description down below, or go to Facebook and search Pete vs. Anxiety. Then look for the Team Anxiety Team page and join it today. Why not? You can join and help. It'll be great. Yeah, like right now. Hurry up. Stop what you're doing, pause this video, go do it right now. But anyways, let's also talk about the Pete vs. Anxiety YouTube page. If you're here right now, you're probably following it most likely. If not, head on over there, subscribe, be sure to like and comment on the videos and let me know, because all that stuff really helps, guys. I really appreciate it. And help me break the stigma that mental health is talked about enough. But anyways, guys, let's get in today's episode. I'll have a great one. Thank you so much again. And as I always say, don't ask how your day is, ask how your mental health is today.
Guys, welcome to an exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. I have a duo of guests today. One is a licensed professional counselor supervisor and the owner of Lifeline CMS, bringing over a decade of experience in counseling, hospital care, and the court system. The other is a successful entrepreneur, co-founder of Mental Perk, using her business expertise and personal journey to educate and inspire. Together, they're on a mission to destigmatize mental health, spark real conversation, and empower individuals to know they are worthy and never alone. Please welcome the hosts of the Mental Perk podcast, Karla Hutcherson and Brandi Mock. Ladies, how are you doing today?
Good. Hi. How are you?
We're so glad to be here, Pete.
Thank you so much for being here. So, ladies, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourselves? Give them a little background about you. I could give a great intro, but it always comes better from you all.
No, you did a great job on the intro. Yes, I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I've been doing this for 20 years. And I've been in various different facilities. I've been a school counselor. I've been in the hospital system, private practice, foster care, court system. And now I do a private practice, and I love spending time on my podcast with my co-host here.
And I am a retired business owner. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. So I've always been into operating and owning businesses, and then wrote a book several years ago. So I'm an author. And Karla and I have been doing volunteering with mental health for years.
We used to work with a nonprofit in which we would go through and talk about suicide prevention with teens and adolescents. And we also did some adults as well. So We really love to be out there talking about mental health, destigmatizing it, and getting people just to start talking about it and really going on that journey to healing.
No, I agree. I don't think the conversation happens enough. I love the fact that you were working with younger kids, especially suicide rates going up in the younger men's age range. I know that much, and things like that. So it's great that you guys are out there doing it. What brought you guys to do the show, though? I mean, was it just the fact that you guys were both mental health advocates, or like one day you're like, hey, why don't we just kind of do this thing and see what happens?
Well, we had decided that, the foundation we were working with before was literally strictly, we go around and speak at schools, college campuses about suicide prevention. Mm-hmm. And we know that to get to the point of committing suicide or feeling that way, there's a lot of mental health issues that contribute to that. So we wanted to open up our podcast to just all things mental health, whether it's a good day or a bad day. We want to be more preventative than we want to be proactive than reactive, if that makes sense.
So we really want to show that journey that people go on, because they start, when they first realize they have a mental health issue or a diagnosis, then they have this journey that they go on. And we love to walk through that journey with them, but also to show the success on the other side of it and really celebrate those successes and how they've learned to deal with it and how they are able to live a normal, healthy life with it.
Yeah, no, that's how my podcast started, actually. I started my own journey, and now I'm here. And it's kind of like you watch the evolution of Pete from the beginning to where I'm now. You see so much different things happen with me, and so much different things I learned from different people I invite to come on and stuff. So I really love it. I do. I love the idea of it. Like I said, I've been listening to your guys' show. It's great. I love the fact that you guys kind of flow between each other, and then with the guests, it kind of just goes natural. Doesn't feel stale at any point, which is always great when you're listening to something, because if it's an hour long, you want to make sure the conversation's good. You're not going to try and sit there and fall asleep and take a nap,
Yeah, I mean, and here's the deal. The thing that we have with our guests on our show is we do exactly what we're doing here. It's just a casual conversation, because not only are they learning stuff, but we're learning stuff. And you gotta sprinkle in just being real throughout the whole episode, because a lot of people, like you just said, it's just so stiff, and you just want people to be real. And being real allows not only the guest that's on the show to feel comfortable, but it allows the listeners to know, hey, I can relate to this a little bit easier. you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially with all you guys' credentials and things. I think that's what makes it so easy to listen to, even though you guys are so well, respecting your communities, that you just you make it feel so easy to listen to the conversation, because it just feels like three friends having a conversation, basically.
Yeah, so for so many years, people have hid mental health issues,
Mm-hmm.
and really, this opens up your podcast, our podcast, and other people who are trying to really make a difference. It opens up those conversations, and people just get a sense of relief from that, to know I don't have to hide this. This doesn't define who I am. It's something I deal with, and so we really want to bring that out and just show people, hey, if you talk about it, our tagline is real people, real issues, real talk, because we want people just sitting down and talking about it and being okay with it and not judging each other for it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the problem. People don't understand things. And when we don't understand things, it's a proven fact that we always judge people. Like, we may not know what we're looking at. And I think having the conversation at an early age, even in the teens, just to get them an idea of what these things they're dealing with, is a great idea, and that's the whole idea of this podcast, is just to get the awareness out there. I invite different people like yourselves. I have regular people that come on, invite and share their stories. And I've heard some wild things sitting in the seat. I'm sure you guys have heard some wild stories too. Like, I literally had a guy tell me that, what was it, the first 30 minutes into the conversation, he says that he had thought about killing himself that morning, described exactly how he was going to do it, what his thought process was. Then he goes into a circle, goes away, comes back to it again. And then after that, he just, his whole demeanor changes. Like, he's just he just had a whole new awakening of things. And it was just real cool, really interesting to see, because when it happened, I'm not gonna lie, I was panicking. I'm like, oh God, what is going on? But at the same time, I'm in the mental health area, so I better get ready for these kind of conversations to come up.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times speaking to students, and, Karla and I have spoken to elementary, middle school, and high school. And we talk about, how mental health should be addressed in middle school and high school, but really it needs to start in elementary, because these kids are dealing with stuff at such an early age with social media and all the platforms that are out there, that it just heightens the anxiety of these kids. And so we really try to stress walking them through it. But we've had so many people that just hearing stories of someone going up to someone and they were thinking the same thing your guest was. I just want to check out. I want to quit living. And making a simple comment of giving them, words of accolade. What is it? I can't say it. Where's it?
Those things.
Yeah.
Nice words.
Nice lift them up. I got tongue tied. But, praising them, letting them know that they're not alone. And, just putting a smile on your face and asking someone how they're doing today can change their whole way of looking at how they're going to proceed with things.
Teaching kids that if they see someone who's different, or they see someone isolated, instead of making fun of them and joining in, talk to them, because just talking to them can save a life. Just like your story you just talked about, he had those thoughts that day of your show, and just by talking to that, you prove that there's a healing to talking about it, right? And just if we can get kids to start realizing that I don't have to be best friends with this person. I just need to show them that somebody cares enough to ask them how their day is, or give them a compliment.
Yeah, see, my tagline is, I ask people, hey, how's your mental health? And the reason is, think about it. If I ask you, hey, Karla, how you doing? Or, hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? If I say, how you doing? Your answer could be okay. But if I say, hey, how's your mental health? You have to think about what I just asked you. And it opens the conversation up to people.
Yeah, 100%. And we love that, because people should not be afraid to ask. Asking someone about their mental health will not cause them to do something. Exactly. If anything, it will prevent them from doing something.
And that's the biggest stigma I think a lot of people don't understand, is when you talk to someone about their mental health, they think you're triggering something, and you're actually releasing a lot of stuff that they need to get off their chest. And so it's really important. We always tell people it's okay not to be okay, because we're not always okay every day. No. The therapist is not always okay every day. I'm not okay all the time. So it's super important to reiterate that to anybody that you come into.
And if somebody's having thoughts, or they're acting strangely, ask them if they're going to hurt themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. That is a great question.
That is a really good question. Just asking them and getting them to talk, like you said, was a great idea too, because I get people in my inbox on my TikTok and things. They've told me several times, oh, I'm thinking about killing myself. And I'm like, oh, well, why does you feel like that? What's wrong? Talk to me. I try to get them to talk, and I'm like, hey, tell me what the issue is. I'm listening. So then they'll tell you what the issue is, and then they seem to feel better. But if they feel like they're still going that direction, I'm like, 988 is probably who you need to call. Yep. I'm not licensed to help you, but I'll listen every time. If you want to tell me something, or you want to talk to somebody, I'm willing to listen, but I am in no means trained for this situation. I will get you to somebody that's trained, and things like that, or suggest somewhere to go to talk to somebody, because like if you're having those thoughts, you need to get some help so you don't do something that that's going to have a massive effect, obviously, because once you're gone, all the ripple effect, all the people that miss you and things like that, and you don't want that though.
100%. And I love you're giving that 988 out all the way around, because there's so many great things that can come from that. People always have someone to listen to them 24/7. And it's a great number to call. I've talked to many people who've called that number, and it's really changed their life.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've actually had a girl tell me she needed help. She was talking to me, and I told her, hey, listen, you may need to go to the hospital and get some help. So she went and got some help. And she's doing good today now. She said she's doing a lot better. She got some medicine and things that she needed. Now, don't get me wrong. Medicine's not for everybody. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's what worked for her situation. But she's doing way better now. And I'm happy, though, she went and got some help, because she was like telling me all these things. And I'm just like, yeah, you probably need to go get some professional help. I'm like, I can listen all day, but you really need somebody that's an expert at what this area of what you're dealing with is.
Yeah, and I think another thing, and Karla's going to reiterate this, is medicine is not a bad thing, and she
no, it's not.
Go ahead and talk about your diabetes.
Yeah, absolutely. So people have a misconception about
diabetic as well.
People have that misconception of medication, and it's so scary. But we have to realize that depression, anxiety, and other mental health diagnoses are medical conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes people need the medication with the therapy in order for the therapy to be effective. And so you have to understand that some people will need that combination, and some people just may need the therapy. But you have to listen to a medical doctor about, the root causes of why you have this diagnosis, and then treat it appropriately. And so we really want to do that. But just like with diabetes, if you have diabetes, you use insulin to help regulate. And for some people, their brains are wired differently, and the medication helps to regulate them. And so that's what's so important for people to understand. It's not scary. You have to work with your doctor on it.
Yeah, I think that's people's biggest stigma about therapy itself. They're like, oh, they're going to give me a bunch of pills. Well, depending on what you're dealing with, you may need them to help regulate, like you just said, regulate everything that's going on. It can make you in a better mood. It can help you feel better, things like that, So I think that's what people need to stop worrying so much about, because a lot of people are like, oh, and then the other thing people talk about therapy too is that they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about my feelings. Then don't talk about your feelings, and just talk to somebody. That's all they're trying to get you to do, is say something versus nothing.
100%. Yeah. Just saying something is so important. You have to get those conversations started, and you find that people will find their feelings a lot less scary once you can get those conversations started.
I think the thing about feelings is that people are afraid to find out about their feelings. Do you have any advice for anybody that's having trouble dealing with that whole thing?
Well, I can tell you one thing, and I'm not the professional, but I can tell you one of our guests that is a professional has always said feelings are not facts. Yeah. And I think that is so important to realize, that feelings are not facts, that you think things that doesn't make them necessarily true. And I think that is one of the most important things you can tell someone. It's not a fact. Just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean it's that.
And sometimes when we get stuck in those feeling thought loops, one of the best things we can do is go back to, what are 3 truths in the situation? How do I unwind this thought loop that I'm getting stuck on, and really say, okay, what are 3 truths? And once they can do that, it kind of helps to settle them down and realize, okay, I'm not lost in the feelings of this. It's kind of bringing me back to reality.
Yeah. So, hold on one second. I'm listing your names. I know, Karla, you're on the right, Brandi, you're on the left. Brandi, you had a book, you said. What was your book about? Just curiosity. I love when I hear books always.
Well, it's a fictional. So it's okay. Kind of, a lot of it's kind of got a little sprinkled truth in there. How kind of came from a background of not very stable home life. And so there's a little bit of sprinkled in there. It's called Sins of the Father. And, it's just one of those things. It was kind of a bucket list item that I wanted to do, and I did it, and working on sequel 2. So that's kind of what the book's about. It's just a fictional.
That's awesome. And Karla, what area do you specialize in? I know you're licensed. So do you do certain things as your specialty, or you just kind of covered a broad spectrum?
Most of my clients are going to be depression, anxiety.
Okay.
And then I do a lot of relationship and couples counseling as well. And I work with employer assistance programs, helping people who are getting sessions for free from their employers. I kind of work with them. And so there's a variety of issues, maybe anxiety at work, going back to work, those kinds of things, which we're about to write a course on, and it's going to be coming out on getting people settled now that they're going back to work. So that's something that's coming out with Mental Perk here pretty soon. But I really specialize a lot in the mood disorders. And so I use a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy and a little bit of dialectical behavioral therapy.
Oh, that's interesting. So you say you got a course coming out. Huh? Is it for to help people adjust going back to the work life setting? Since they've been out so remote for so long.
That's kind of how it started, but really just dealing with that workplace anxiety. And we're seeing that as people are now being called back to work, that anxiety level is going up, as well as depression and some other things, because they have been remote for so long. And now that they're having to go back, they have to learn how to interact again. And so it's going to be an interesting topic, but I think it's something that's affecting a lot of people.
Isn't that interesting, though? You have to reteach people how to communicate with other people. It's like we're so far removed. We have the internet. We have all these different great ways to interact with people. But when it comes to a face-to-face conversation, the oldest thing that we've done communication-wise, we all have trouble with it.
We do.
100%. And I feel like, the whole COVID thing just sent everybody for a loop, because as human beings, we're not meant to be alone, yet we were forced to be alone, And so that was something that, people of our lifetime haven't been through before.
Yeah, no, I'm used to being alone, though, because when I was a kid, my mom abandoned me when I was 10. She dropped me at my dad's doorstep, okay? And I've always been alone since then. Like, I have brothers and sisters. I see them regularly every so often, but usually most of the time, 90% of the time, I was by myself. So I was my own best friend. And I know it sounds sad, but it was what it was, And then as it went through, I started realizing that the abandonment issue had caused a lot of problems for myself, but I preferred to be alone because I think I kept going back to that moment, where I was already left there, and I didn't realize how much of a ripple effect it would have going forward. So I tend to prefer to be alone a lot of times, and maybe it's just me. I say I don't like people, but it's not that. It's just I deal in customer service, and anybody that's been in customer service knows that you just like, God, people just are so fascinating, though. Like, they're so fascinating. If you sit there and really analyze some of these people, what they do, it's the little things they do, it just makes you laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. And I feel like what you have learned is from the abandonment is trust issues, and you trust yourself more than anybody else. And so it's hard for you to kind of open up and have that trust with other people. However, therapeutically, you started a podcast, so you are connecting with people every day. So
and it's great. I love it. I think it's great to meet such great people like yourselves, and I've met some really interesting people along the way. Heck, I've got even more interesting people coming too. So, and this is something I've always wanted to do. I hadn't originally had a podcast. It was called Pete's Corner Store. It was a couple of friends and I was literally telling people stories about when I was in what I was doing in retail. And these people are asking me, "Are these real?" I'm like, I can't make these up for you. The things that I've dealt with all the years, like the crazy things that happen. I got robbed. I've had people do some like drive cars through store windows, crazy things like that are happening. People are like, "Are these all real?" I'm like, these are real life accountant stories that you're about to hear, kind of like you hear in like some of those TV shows. These are real life kind of stories you're about to hear right now, and it was something fun I did. And then I brought in a co-host, and it didn't work out as well as you guys did because she decided to go a little extreme with things, and I was like, yeah, I got to cut it off. And then when I started therapy,
she's been trying to get rid of me since we got started, Pete. I mean, it's not gonna work. So
how dare you? Look, she's trying to be she's trying to be the Batman to your Robin, and you're not allowing her to be that. Come on now. No, it just didn't work out. Like she just had different views than I do, and then like she wasn't into it as much as I was, and I was loving it. I love meeting new people, talking about different things. And then I got into this space, and it really got interesting because in the first few weeks, I actually talked to a Columbine shooting survivor. Little did I know, this woman was in the library, maybe at least 6 feet away from the person, one of the guys that were actually conducting the whole thing. And it was the craziest interview I ever done in the beginning of the show.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I had no idea when I set it up with her. She just said, "Oh, I was a part of it. That was it. I was just a survivor," and didn't tell me the whole story. Then when we were recording, she's like, "Pete, I'm in the library, and I'm in a dark room for some reason. I don't remember what happened. I think the internet wasn't working where I was, so I had to slide my little table setup I have here. I slid in to get some internet, so I directly hardlined it." And she was telling me, and I'm sitting there imagining this in my mind. She's describing it. It's like playing Dungeons and Dragons, but we're playing Survivor style. And she's telling me what's going on, and I'm visually seeing this person standing there. She's like, "I can see the whites of his eyes. I'm under the table." I'm like, "Oh God, what are we doing next?" And you're just like freaking out as this is happening. And she's just like telling me the whole story. And I didn't realize she was that close. And I was like, this was like the 4th or 5th week into the audio side of the show, because I started recording some audio ahead of time just to build a little, little noise for the show, because this show didn't start going live on video until the 15th when I joined the Oracle Talk Radio Network, which I'm on now. And things like that, but it was interesting, needless to say.
We get that sometimes when we're interviewing our people that are on our episodes. It's like some of the times I'll tell you one of them. We had one that was a TBI, and she's in a coma and finds out one of her best friends she's supposed to get engaged to a guy. And while she's in a coma, her best friend gets engaged to the guy she was supposed to engage to.
It's the stuff. And so we're just like this.
We're like, what? Like, that's a whole new episode, right?
Say, hold up, wait, we got another episode. We can come back and talk about these things.
Yeah, but that's why we love it being so real and unscripted, just because there's so many things that come out, or they touch you emotionally, and you're like, I'm trying to hold back the tears.
Yeah.
You know,
well, Karla never cries. She's a beast. I'm like, oh, give me the tissue. You know, but it's part of what you do in life. It's a part of the walk and the journey. And so if we can help someone on their journey by sharing other people's stories.
I think it's a powerful message, though, sharing other people's stories. So you think about it, because you can connect to so many people out there, and then they don't feel alone anymore. And that's a lot of times what you hear people come and tell you.
Yeah. And I think you see, Pete, that mental health does not discriminate. It doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care what color you are. It doesn't care how rich you are. It affects everybody everywhere. And so I think that's the biggest thing we want people to know. And we also want people to know, because when they hear, and I'm sure they do with you too, when they hear mental health, they think, well, I don't have a mental health journey. I'm like, did you make someone laugh today? To me, that's good mental health. We want people to share stories of laughter and tears,
100%,
trauma and success. I mean, that is our goal. Our
Laughter
goal is to
healing.
make sure people share their story and that other people can relate to it, whether it's through tragedy or triumph.
Yeah. And either way, you still connect somewhere, or you trauma bond or something. A lot of times that's what you find. I've had people that watch the show, that have come on the show, and they're like, oh yeah, I watched so-and-so do it. Now I want to come. And that's the greatest feeling ever, is when you find somebody that's like, oh, I connected to this person's story, so now I want to come. I mean, we did an episode about narcissistic exes, me and another podcaster. She does, we and her were talking about it, and people said that halfway through the episode they had to take a pause, because that's how real it got. And I said, okay, well, we did our job then, because we want you all to understand that we've been there with you. You know, we were comparing stories, and hers and I's kind of lined up really well. And a lot of other people that are watching were like, yeah, we had to take a pause like 30 minutes into this conversation, because it was hitting home that hard. And I was like, well, that's good. Then we did what we're supposed to. We wanted you to feel the emotion. And, now you can relate, and you know that this is what, you're not the only one, and you're not alone now. Now, was it rough? Yeah, it's rough, but no one said it was an easy ride.
Yeah.
Well, everybody has challenges. And I think with social media, everyone has gone out of their way to have their lives filtered and make them look a certain way that is not realistic. But everybody has challenges. And so it's so nice when you actually can bond with someone and help them understand, hey, you have this, I have this, and we're both okay. We're going to make it through this, and we're going to be able to walk this journey together, and you're not alone in this. That's what's really important, to know that you're not alone.
Exactly.
You don't have to hide these things. It doesn't make you disabled or less of a person because you have challenges of some sort, especially mental ones.
And I like to tell people too, if there's someone pointing at you and making fun of you, they have their own issues to deal with. Yeah. So don't listen to what they have to say. If you're
a symptom of something.
Yeah, that's a symptom. If you're fearing judgment because of sharing your story, those people right there don't need to be a part of your life anyway. That's how I feel.
I just tell them to fuck it, basically. I'm like, don't listen. Pardon the French, but let's be honest here. Who cares?
Let's be real, Pete.
Let's be real. Tell them just fuck it. It doesn't matter. Like, to my opinion, my answer to that is just like, don't worry about what other people think of you. It's the same thing with people that go to the gym. They have that weird perception. Everybody's watching. Well, let them watch. Let them enjoy the show. Like, don't pay attention to let everybody else dictate what you do in your life, because I feel like too many people I don't like people watching me. My wife tells me it all the time. She's like, well, I don't want to go to the gym because people watch me. Who cares? Let them watch. It doesn't matter. It's like, do what you're going to do regardless. What's going to stop you? They got to, hey, maybe they'll come over and have a conversation. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you don't like people, just tell them something. I don't know.
Well, real motivators at the gym are not going to judge anyway. They're going to cheer you on. They're going to, because they all started at a certain journey too, right? Yeah. So, I mean, and that's the number one thing I hear about people going to the gym. Like, I'm not in shape. I'm like, well, you're going to the gym to get in shape.
You're going. So that's what you're going for.
Don't worry about people.
You're doing something is the real point of that. You know what I mean? Like, you're lifting weights, your cardio, whatever you're doing is helping you in any way. Even taking a walk. I take the dogs for a walk every single day, and it helps with my diabetes because my sugar's too high. I take a walk around the block, come back, and I'm good to go. And that's how easy it is to fix.
Yeah.
For me, first thing, not for everybody.
Not for everybody, but it's just certainly stepping out and just getting vitamin D, the sun. Getting the sun is helpful.
There's so much of a connection between physical health and mental health. Mm-hmm. And so putting those two together, you find it's very therapeutic. I mean, you can't go on that walk or to the gym and not come back in a better place than you started, right? Because there's such a connection between your, that physical health and your mental health.
Yeah, and you'll feel a lot. It's good stress reliever when you're lifting weights and things like that.
Right.
I always tell people I go all the time, and they're like, oh, how do you go? I'm like, I just go. Like, I'm tired. Some days I'm tired. I work because I work third shift. So I work third shift. I get off, and I'll usually go to the gym right afterwards. And people say, how do you do it? I'm like, I just do it. I mean, it feels great. It makes me feel better about myself. I'm down I'm under 300 pounds for the first time in 15 years. And I feel a major difference. Thank you. I'm like, it's like I feel a lot better. And then like Mother's Day, me and my wife, we went to the state park here where I live, and we went on a hike out there. And I've never done that before either, and I made it through that no problem. It was great, and I enjoyed it. I felt so much better after doing all that. We're sightseeing things like that. It was nice to disconnect from the world, because I think with the internet, the problem is that people feel like they have to people please too much. And then they're like, oh, I got to be there for this, or I got to be that. TikTok is the worst one of all, because those stupid live things they keep sending you, like they'll send you 50,000. It's like, listen, I know you're live. You don't have to keep sending me messages. I know.
I agree. And the technology, the social media, it's not going away.
Yeah.
But what we have to do is find balance, because like you said, you have to disconnect in order to really maintain that mental health. You have to be able to disconnect and find confidence and doing all of these things that you're talking about, because that's how you stay balanced, right? If you're on that technology all the time, it wears you down, it plays tricks with your mind, and it's not really healthy, right? Because we're losing touch with so many other things.
It's also that, and I think it's also a lot of people when they post videos, the negative comments, they start reading them and it starts getting in their head, things like that. I think Bert Kreischer is the best one I've heard so far say something. He's like, I always read the comment section. And they laugh at him because he's like, I only look for the negative ones. He's like, I can have 10,000 positive ones, but I'm looking for that just one negative one to ruin my day. And I'm like, you just once you put something out there, just get ready for people to criticize you. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's the world we live in, unfortunately. With what you do, with what we do, we're always on social media, unfortunately, trying to get our word out there and stuff. And, things are going to be said. And when they are, we're putting ourselves out there. So the way I look at it is, if you put yourself out there, get ready for the positive and the negative. I mean, it's just part of what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
But building that confidence is important. I mean, and you definitely have it. You've trained yourself to know that you don't need to worry about what other people are thinking. What you're doing is you're passionate about it. You believe in it. So that's that confidence that you have, and you just have to realize, I'm going to have to take the good with the bad, and it's okay, and roll with it.
Yeah, I already expected that when it came to putting things on the internet. People are going to say things. I get people that comment on some of my YouTube shorts that say all these things. Oh, well, the phone's the problem. One guy had a real funny one. Something about he was saying to say that phones aren't the problem. Like, but they are. Think about it. Your phone is everything to you. Like, I use my phone for everything. How do you connect to the internet? The phone. You connect to social media. You have Facebook, Instagram, all of those, man. And they're all going off at once. So I literally have to keep my phone on silent most days. And what I've been doing, though, is I'm setting my own boundaries. I'm like, okay, well, 5 o'clock, my wife gets home from work. My phone goes silent. Now, if you absolutely have to get a hold of me, I leave it so some people can get through. That's it. Other than that, I'm not available. If I respond, be glad I responded to you, because that's my time and her time. And I disconnect from the world completely. Like, TikTok doesn't exist and things like that. Sometimes I'll go check something maybe once in a while, or she'll send me a funny video I'll go look at. But that's the only reason I'm getting on there to do anything, because I'm trying not to be so self-absorbed with it. Because I've seen people going like, there's mindless slaves, and they're like, oh, well, you don't support what I do. And then, it just starts that stupid argument about, oh, you're not supporting me, but then you're not spending enough money on me. And I'm like, yeah, I don't spend any money on here. Actually, fun fact, I don't spend nothing.
Well, and here's the deal. That's a positive boundary you've set. And that's super healthy. And I think that everybody should be on that track to set a boundary, on.
Don't be scared to set boundaries. It doesn't mean that you're not going to offend people by setting boundaries. Actually, you're communicating clearly, so they're going to have an understanding of how to work with you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a problem for a lot of people, is they don't know how to set boundaries. I met a young lady that she couldn't set boundaries. She just let everybody dictate her life. I'm like, no, man, you got to sit there and set boundaries. Tell these people, no, this is what's going to happen. X, Y, Z. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. If they get offended, then it must mean that it applies to them then, because somebody's going to get mad about something you do, but you can't worry about what everybody else thinks. If you're setting your own boundaries that you want, and things like that. I think a lot of people worry too much about what everybody else thinks about it. Oh, I'm going to disappoint these people. No. You having your own boundaries means that they're going to have to respect your boundaries, or they're just going to have to kick cans. I don't know what to tell them.
Well, I mean, it's really healthy to set boundaries for yourself, but you're also helping others because in this world we've learned to live without boundaries and we expect others to do that. And so by setting boundaries, you're teaching others how to work within that system of I've got healthy boundaries, you got to have healthy boundaries. And so I feel like it's really important message for people to send, because it keeps us on a healthy road. And if we think about these cell phones, by the way, they run through the same addictive pathways in our brain that other addictions run through. Drugs, alcohol, whatever, runs through that same pathway in your brain because people cannot put them down, literally.
No, they can. If you ever go into a restaurant, looked around, see how many people are on their phones, they're all like dialing in. It's like the art of the conversation's gone, man. There's no conversation anymore.
I'm in bed at 10 o'clock and she's texting me. I'm like, what? I'm in bed.
Because I just got home from work.
Right? See, just because she has a nightlife, don't get upset with her now, okay?
I just set my boundary and put her on mute.
Oh, I'm always texting people all through the night, but I'm usually up anyways. So I tell people, like, I'm available 24/7. They all laugh at me. I'm like, I'm serious. So, like, when do you sleep? I never sleep at all because I'm always doing something.
Yeah, and if you don't send it when you're thinking about it, you'll forget about it. So
exactly. See, you get what I'm saying, though. We're on the same page here. We'll just have to get her on the same page with us now. She's just
I have to deal with this all the time, Pete. It's just one of those things. I just have to put up with her. Acceptance, non-judgmental, unconditional
I get free
love.
counseling here.
Right? You just come tell her some things, and she starts telling you some advice. You're like, are you shrinking me right now? Oh, maybe just a little bit,
Yeah. I have a lot to work with. I got a lot to work with.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's always good though. You have, listen, you got to client for life. Client for life though. There you go. See, look, she's right there.
Non-paying job security over here. I don't know. Right. She find it somewhere else, right?
Well, why not look at your friends first? They always think you're analyzing them anyways. Well, why not do it now?
It's true.
We're defined by the company we keep, definitely.
Right, exactly. So yeah, because that maybe that explains why I keep a small circle of friends. Think of like I've been so alone for so long, but I keep a tight knit group of people. I don't let a lot of people into my inner circle because I find that a lot of people. Well, I had a recent incident. Okay, I'll tell you about this incident. Y'all can tell me what you think. Okay, so I had a girl I knew that we were just friends. She supported what I was doing. She's a big mental health advocate. I was coming by trying to support her where I can. And things like that. She started getting this idea that I'm trying to steal her limelight because I talk about my podcast. I'm like 90% of the time, mind you, she's the one mentioning my name as I come in. Oh, well, we were just talking about you, Pete. I'm like, okay. All right. What did I just walk into? Like, I don't know what's going on prior to these conversations. So she got in her mind thinking that I was stealing her limelight because for whatever reason. And I'm like, that seems to happen a lot with people that realize I have my podcast and things like that. It's like, I'm supposed to talk about it. So what did you want me to do? Not talk about it all? I'm like, I'm trying to get this thing to become big. You can't sit there and say nothing about it because, that's not how it works. If you don't advertise, you're never going to know the product even exists.
Right.
Don't let anyone steal your sparkle, Pete.
No.
Oh, they're not. Trust me. I just said, okay. She sent me this long paragraph. I'm going to tell you exactly how to exchange with. Long paragraph. I let you type back. Said, that's great. I didn't even take time to read it, but you have a great one. And I was just like, I'm done. As rude as that sounds, it's just like that's how it goes in this game, because a lot of people.
I think it's just being real. You're telling them how it is.
Why do you want to get mentally drained when you know that paragraph? There's not going to be a positive thing, right? So
exactly what I was thinking too, because I was just like, I'm not going to waste any energy on this. I'm good, man. I don't have the time for this. Like, plus I'm not in high school. I left that a long time ago. Like, I don't have time for the catty drama you all want to do. I'm just not the one. And they all try to suck you into it. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll see y'all later. Y'all come find me when you're done playing war over there because I don't have time for that kind of stuff, and I've had a lot of people try and butt in to be co-hosts on this show too. Like, oh, we should do a co-host thing. Like, yeah, I don't like the words co-host after the last one I had. I'm good right now. I think this is a solo mission. It says Pete versus anxiety. It doesn't say Pete and some people versus anxiety. So no, I'm good.
Yeah. Now, you got to find, Karla and I have been extremely lucky to have the relationship we have. Because, we both are so passionate about something that we believe in. And, again, with social media and everything that's out there now, you see the anxiety levels just go up and up and up. And we really got to get people back down to where they know how to process things.
Yeah.
Because processing things is so important. Seeking therapy, getting on medication, those are all things that are totally okay to do. It's not a forever thing. That's another thing. It's not forever.
Learning how to ground yourself and how to bring it back down, understanding different grounding techniques that work for you and really focusing on using them regularly to build those healthy habits.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think those are really great points too. I think that's not, like I said, that's the whole idea behind the show though, was like that. Just that statement you all made right there. To go get therapy if you need it. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with talking to somebody about what your thoughts are, because a lot of times that other person can understand them or may understand what is causing those and help you not be a negative statistic, as I like to say, because we don't want the negatives. We want more positive. We want more people to get out of these things and stop adding to the number that is just rising. And it's just hard to hear when you hear somebody has decided to take their life, because then you start asking that question, oh, what I could have done. What could I have done more? I could have said more. I could have done this. You may have not been able to do anything, honestly. You don't know what they were thinking, honestly, at that point.
Mm-hmm. But I think important things to know is being that light to that person and being positive to them and lifting them up, or just showing concern and letting them know that you're thinking of that they're not alone.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge difference maker to me.
And there was a point that I want to make is, if you have a psychiatrist that you feel is over medicating you, or you have a therapist that you're not bonding with, leave them and find another one.
Mm-hmm.
Those are such important relationships. If that people pleaser in you doesn't want to hurt their feelings, then you have to hurt their feelings, and don't worry about it. They're not thinking about it. Move on to the next one.
Yeah.
But you have to find that person that you connect with, because mental health is so it's so treatable, but it has its certain kind of treatment that it needs a connection. Mm-hmm. So find a psychiatrist that really values you, that gives you the time that you need, that's listening to you as you're describing your symptoms. Find that therapist that you really connect with, that builds that therapeutic relationship, because that's the only way you're going to heal.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great point. And I know I've talked to some people say they've gone through 5 or 6 of them, but at the end of the day, like you said, they know, like, if you're not a fit for them, okay, no hard feelings. It happens. Not everybody's made for everybody in that sense. You have to go through a few to find the one that really connects with you, that you guys can work together and have the same ideals of how you feel. If you feel like they're addressing your issues, and you can't sit there and worry about what they think, because they already know, like, listen, you're no longer a client. Okay, well, they already understand that coming into this, that a lot of them will tell you that too. Listen, if we're not a fit, it's okay. Just let me know we're not a fit. Exactly. Don't force yourself to be here, because it's not going to do you any good at the end of the day.
Well, you don't buy something you don't like, right? Yeah, if you don't 100%. Like something, you don't buy it. If you don't like to go to a certain medical doctor, your family doctor, you switch, right? So they're no different from anybody else. The way I look at it is, if I'm paying for it, I want to get the best I can for me.
Exactly.
And also too, one thing I want to put out there is, I go through therapy still. No, not her. But
dual relationship.
I do have a therapist, and there's times when I'll go to therapy, Pete, when I don't even need it. Why? Yeah. Because sometimes I just want to make sure I'm still on track with things, my thought process. Or they'll go, Brandi, think you're overthinking this, or you're not. There's things when you go to therapy, even when you don't feel like you need therapy, you realize, oh, I probably should have come today, right? So I feel like maintaining your therapy, even if you don't need it, you're in a good spot, is super important as well.
I hear so many people say, oh, therapy doesn't work. Well, that's because you're with the wrong therapist. When you find that good relationship, you'll see how much it does work.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a major difference when you and them align to what you're trying to do and stuff like that. Because I had to do that too. The first one I had, I really didn't feel like we were getting anywhere, and she was just kind of like not really into it. So I was like, all right, well, I'll find somebody else. I guarantee when I left, no hard feelings. She didn't care, honestly, and then I found one I really liked, my one I have now. Me and her get along so well. And it's just like having a conversation between the two of you at times, she'll ask you about your week, what's going on. And a lot of times, it's me venting about like how much I dislike customer service people, but it's just what comes with the job. Yeah. You deal with people on a regular basis. And like I said, if you sit there and watch some of these people, let me tell you, it's like the people at Walmart. Have you ever seen that YouTube video?
Oh, yeah.
I love those.
You know what I'm saying? Those things crack me up. It's like you're watching them and it's like, oh God. And then what is it? Like, the movie, the Kevin Smith movie, Clerks. I'm like, I tell people, so you want to know what it's like to work here? Go watch that movie before you apply here. And it'll give you some sense of what I deal with on a daily basis, just the obscurity of people that come in looking for stuff. Oh, can I get this for free? Can I get that for free? Or it's like, how much does this cost? Even though there's a sign that would be right there to tell you, it's like you have to repeat. You have to smile at them and just repeat what it is, because we don't want to upset the customers. We can't do that now, because the mentality on our side is that we can't get in trouble. We can't have them complain, even though they may be wrong. We can't tell them they're wrong, because God, no, we don't want to do that now. We don't want to upset them.
Well, I think you're seeing a shift. You're also seeing a shift in that, though, Pete, because of all the stuff. That's a scary thing too. You say that customer service is. when we say we've learned that it's okay to talk to someone where however you want to, you can degrade them, you can do whatever you want to, make a fool of yourself, you can cuss them. But there's also that person on the receiving side. And yeah, customer service is important. But at the same time, when I owned my company, I would tell people all the time, my staff, oh no, you don't talk to my staff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care if you're my customer. You won't be my customer after this, because I don't care if it's a multi-million-dollar account. We're all the same.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we all deserve to be treated the same. And so degrading someone or talking to them like they're nothing was not okay with my company. I did not allow it.
But that's the trend. Everyone's looking for their TikTok moment to make them famous. And so they're recording, they're like stirring trouble, trying to get people to react so they can have this TikTok moment, right? And so you're seeing people just treat each other horribly.
Yeah, I could see it every day. I'm actually the manager, so I deal with that. I could feel you totally on that one, being the boss. I tell the people, they come in and start disrespecting my people, I cut them off. I'll come over there and tell them, listen, you got two choices. Either finish this transaction or just stop talking, because we're not going to continue that. And then like the other guys, all like scared to say something. Like, don't be afraid to stand up and say something to somebody. If they're degrading you, like, or I have a system, like, because I have a lot of ladies I work with too, because, you get guys that come in act weird because, we don't know how to act right on pretty ladies for some reason. I can't teach them all, but they come in, there's a signal. They'll shout my name really loud, and that means to come over there. So I come over there, and then I'll step in instantly and deal with it. Because, or I'm always watching when people come in. I'm always looking to see what they're doing, especially when they're like, if they're falling around my female associates, and things like that. Because I've had people come in just like doing real weird things, making them feel real weird. I've had to tell people to leave. I have no problem telling them to leave. And I'll tell my boss too. I'm like, they're making them feel uncomfortable, and we're not going to do that. I'm not going to have that. And my boss has yet to disagree with me on that one, because she knows that the minute I walk in, if something's going on, I'm ready to prepare to handle the situation. I don't have a problem saying anything. And we had an issue like that where a girl was like, why'd you stop the camera? And I was walking in on the camera. She said, because you see that guy right there? The minute he walks in and there's something going on, I guarantee you he's going to say something to somebody. And I'm like, yeah, I'll say something. I don't care. I have no problem stepping in and defending people, that don't need it. Like, I don't do with all the drama. So, at first when I started my job, is a lot of drama. Now it's not so bad as much, because now they know that when I'm there, I'm just not the one that's going to deal with it. You got the wrong person. I just not going to tolerate you disrespecting people. There's no need for us to yell at each other. I could yell back, but what am I going to benefit out of it? Nothing.
Yeah, yelling really doesn't work in any situation. I've never seen a yelling match where somebody really won. I mean, you just don't see it. So I feel like, it would be really great to challenge people to catch random acts of kindness as a TikTok trend, right? Instead of looking for fights and arguments and pointing out people's bad behaviors, really finding random acts of kindness.
I think she'll tell you, I'm the random act of kindness person, because I do believe in lifting people up. So I'll randomly go into wherever and say, you are beautiful. But you know what's so scary about that is, even doing that now, people look at you like you got a third head. They'll like,
flip you off. Yeah.
We had a guest on our show that was from upstate, and she moved to Texas, and she's not used to people saying hello to her. What was it? They said hello?
Yeah, West Texas. And
West Texas. Yeah. She said hello, or they said hello to her, and she flipped them off. And I'm like, that's not very Texan. And she's like, well, she was from like Jersey.
Yeah,
she's like, that's how we do it in Jersey. And I'm like, wow, right? But I think being able to take in anything that's going to happen, whether you're positive about it or not, because I've had people where I've told people, you're beautiful, and they laugh at you in your face like you're crazy. Guess what? It made me feel better. And if I know I'm trying to make someone feel better by lifting them up and they don't receive it that way, I did the right thing at the end of the day, and you just walk away.
She's always throwing compliments out at everybody. And I'm behind her going, she's not trying to pick you up. She really means it.
I was waiting for that to come out. Like, I'm waiting for you to say something. I know you get ready to say it. I had a feeling you were going to say it too. She's like, listen, she's not trying to pick you up. She's just
she's really normal.
I'm cleaning up behind her.
she's justifying it behind me.
Right, exactly. The funny thing is, I live in Texas now, okay, and I'm from Chicago originally, like Chicago and area, okay. So I say Chicago because if I told a lot of people where I was from, they have no idea where it's from. So, anyways, that conversation came up is how I don't say good morning to people. I say hello and things like that. I greet them as they come in. Some guy told me I don't have Southern hospitality, and my boss comes up and he goes, well, sweetie, you know what that means? It means you just don't say good morning to people. She's like, I know you're not being rude. You're saying hello to them, but that's not what they do down here. They say good morning to people. I'm like, I don't do the good morning thing. I'll say hello to you, but it's just because I'm from I'm from up there. It's a little different for us, you know. So
You're saying hi to someone. I think that's totally good.
yeah, you're acknowledging the fact that it's like, hello, how you doing? You know, things like that. And then one guy, he got so offended because I didn't use Southern hospitality. I said, well, sir, I'm not from Texas. Actually, I'm from Chicago. It shows that you are. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, you have a great one.
Sir, the fact you said sir is a positive
that's
thing.
A positive,
I mean,
or just throw a bless your heart in
yeah,
there.
bless your heart.
My wife is teaching me that one too because she's from Texas too. She's actually born here in Texas. She's like she says that to me all the time. I finally figured out what that meant. I was like, oh, okay, now I know what that shit means when you say that to me.
She's like, bless your heart. And you're like, oh, thank you. And you're like, she's like, no, I don't.
I think it's really supposed to show a little empathy, but I think sometimes it's got a little
dig.
It's got a little meaning.
Right? Yeah. No, trust me. I know. I'm starting to figure out there. She likes to remind me, oh, damn Yankees don't do these kind of things. That's what she always tells me. Because she asked me some random questions about things and she's like, you've never had this before? I'm like, no, dude, I've never had this before. What do you mean? You know, like, or some weird food item I've never had before that a lot of Texans do. And she's like, you haven't had this before? I'm like, no, I haven't. I'm from the north. We don't eat that kind of stuff up there. What's wrong with you all? And, you know, and she hates when I say this. So I know she's not watching, but I always tell people she thinks that the north is a whole nother country. And she gets so mad when I tell people that because that's just how she looks at it, though. She's just like, kind of like, because she's never really been out of Texas. She's only been, I think, as far as Missouri. And that's it. But she's never been to the Chicagoland area. So it's a little different when you get up there.
It's a lot different.
You know, the sight sounds a lot more, you know, and where we're at, you know, she's closer. She's from closer to the Oklahoma border, basically.
Yeah.
So she's literally right there, right on the edge of it's like about an hour out of Oklahoma, basically. So she's up there. So she's not used to it. And I was showing her some of the food I was eating when I was up there on my last trip when I went up there. And she's like, what is that? Oh, I'm not eating that. I don't know what that is. I'm like, what do you mean, dude? It's food. She goes, oh, no, I'm good. I'm going to stay down here or I know what the food is.
Well, but she hasn't had Chicago pizza because it's amazing.
I'm telling her she's missing out. I try to tell everybody.
Popcorn place. What is it? Garrett's or something?
Mm-hmm.
Or, is that right?
I think that's the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Karla's always food.
I love food.
I love food too. Me and her try different stuff. We go around, we try different things. TikTok's a lot of times how we find a lot of the places, you know. She's always on there looking at different spots. So we would check it out. But we found a couple places down here that do Chicago style pizza. There's actually a place about like 20, 30 minutes away from me. The guy's actually from the Chicagoland area. So he came down and he opened a pizza place. And I was telling him, thank God. I'm like, thank God you're here, man. I said, these people don't know what pizza is. And
they don't understand how delicious it is. It's amazing.
It's the sauce. It's like people don't get it. It's like you're using ketchup versus actual tomato sauce.
Don't even bring up ketchup. This is a problem because she puts ketchup on everything. And
no.
I have to cringe.
And that's my problem with y'all's pizza is that it doesn't have enough sauce. So anytime I order pizza, I'm like extra sauce, little cheese. You know, I'm like,
well, it's okay. Ask for more sauce, just not ketchup.
I love ketchup.
She loves ketchup.
Ketchup is my life.
Oh no! You sure you don't have that? You sure you don't want to be on that show, Strange Addictions? You know,
I don't eat.
Well, there was the guy on there. What did he ate? Nothing but cheeseburgers. There was another guy. He was obsessed with some kind of condiment he was obsessed with, but he was just like eats that on every single thing. And I was like, oh God, here we go.
I'm not that bad. I'm bad, but I'm not that bad.
What are you putting ketchup on though? We need to clarify this right now because
mashed potatoes. I put it on mashed potatoes. It's a French fry. It's
okay. All right, I can see that a little bit. All right.
Right.
It's not fried.
Ketchup, I'll put sometimes on my pizza. It's the extra sauce to my pizza. Okay.
You didn't stop. You didn't just say that. She's gonna put ketchup on the pizza. No.
On my eggs.
No, how are you allowing this to happen? You
I
need
know.
to get her now.
I'm trying. Like we go to a Mexican restaurant. There's salsa sitting in front of her, and she's asking for ketchup. This is insane. It's insane.
Are you putting ketchup on your tacos?
I don't eat meat. I'm not a big meat eater.
So you're vegan? Okay, so
I'll put it on my burritos.
Yeah.
It's like your queso, you know. I mean, it's not like smothered in it. It's, you know, it's not smothered.
Well, first off, you don't eat meat. That's scary to me. Okay, and you know, that's just joking with you. Are you from Texas? Because you have a southern accent to you.
I was born and raised in Texas.
Okay, so you're
Kenny. So let me go ahead and say this before anybody dogs.
Okay, here we go. All right.
I've eaten veal. I've eaten frog legs. I've eaten fish. I've eaten brisket. I've eaten everything. I've eaten chicken. I just don't like the texture. I mean, maybe therapy will help me through it, but I just, to me, when you don't like something, you don't like it, right?
I
So
get that, but you're from Texas. You know, that's a sacrilegious thing. You don't like beef and you don't like meat and you like football. I mean, because that's Texas too. Like I've never seen any people so obsessed with football than when I got down here, man. It was
I love
insane.
college. I love college football.
Yeah,
College
see,
football is my love. I love
I
it.
I lived down west of Houston for a bit. Let me tell you, when I say these people are obsessed with football, they built a $2 billion stadium for the high school.
Oh yeah,
That
that's the
doesn't
same here.
surprise me at all.
It's a football is high school and college football. I love watching those just because college. I love college too, but college has gotten a little out of the when you start paying your players and stuff. I think you take away the fight to really be good sometimes, and also too, it's important to finish your education. So I think sometimes it's skewing them away, but I love college football. Love college anything, really.
Yeah, I watch NFL football, and I love upsetting all the Cowboy fans because I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. So when it's time for football season, I can wear my stuff between Thursday and Sunday, and you better believe I come full tricked out for these guys. And we do like nonstop banter back and forth between us all. And to everyone else that doesn't understand it, it looks like we're having an argument, but we're having the greatest times of our lives right there, just trash talking each other about their teams and things like that. And especially when the Cowboys start losing, I'm sorry, but I just pick on them bad.
Well, if you're Texas born, you're going to automatically have a love for the Cowboys. I mean, you just have to, it's inbred in us, right?
I found that out.
I will tell you, since the Chiefs have been making this, a name for themselves, a lot of Texans are kind of going over to the Chiefs. I'm telling you.
Where we live, it's called Jerry's World.
Yeah.
It's Jerry's World, and we're just living in it. Yes. And you know what? I think, probably should not say this, but I just think Jerry needs to step back and let the Cowboys play, and I think someone needs to manage the Cowboys. And
they all agree. They all agree with that statement.
Jerry,
live your life, Jerry.
Live it. Be good. But I think someone needs to step in and let them do what they're supposed to do.
That's not going to happen. Jerry's not going to allow that. And they're like, well, what about Jerry's son? I'm like, you don't know if he has the same mindset process too. You don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm not.
But Cowboys are the Cowboys, and we all. I mean, like I said, it's inbred. We're always going to cheer them on.
I'm not.
See, I'm right there with her. Nope. Sorry. Listen, I'm from Chicago, and people go, "You're not a Bears fan?" I said, "Dude, they haven't done anything since '85. My favorite players have all played for Kansas City. Yeah. So why would I cheer for a team I have no sentimental value to? Yeah. And it's the same thing with all the other sports teams. The only Chicago team I actually like is the White Sox. And, I saw them since I was a kid. I watched since Frank Thomas played back, like really far back. And I used to go to this stadium all the time when I lived there. Every year for my birthday, it was the one thing I did is I went there to watch them play every year. And it was so great. And everybody's like, well, you don't like the Cubs? Oh, God, no. Get out of here with that crap. No, it's just like coming to me asking if I'm a Cowboys fan. I just look at you the same way. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I don't like being disappointed, and because that was the longest running joke for a long time because they hadn't won a World Series in forever. So that was the easy thing to pick on them about. Now I got to find new stuff. I just hate them because I don't like them. They're the other team. So, and we have that hate at rivalry. So
I think that's the first thing people will ask us when we're traveling is, oh, are you a Cowboys fan? I'm like, and they're like, you're not from Texas. I'm like, I was born and raised here.
I like the Cowboys.
I mean, I don't not like them. They're not my team. I don't know that I have an NFL team, honestly.
Yeah.
But what I love about this conversation is this is a conversation that can open conversations. Yes. I love that. And I love that it puts us in a good headspace, right? It's good for our mental health. We're getting off the technology and we're just having some good, clean fun. And I think that's the great
and
thing.
She's not getting angry at me because I'm not a Cowboys fan, which people let it go.
I do love the Chiefs. I do love the Chiefs. I mean, I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan.
Yep. I'm Travis Kelce fan actually. So I like Mahomes, but Kelsey's my guy. I'm a bigger guy, so I like the tight ends and things like that. Yeah. And my favorite player actually never even played for the Chiefs. He played for the Raiders. Bo Jackson played actually for the White Sox and the Raiders. So he played two sports at once, and especially in the time when it was really rough when they were playing. So it'll be interesting to hear. So I have a guest that's coming on that's an ex-NFL player. I need to look at what years he was playing to see if he played. He may have actually played against Bo Jackson, which would have to be something really cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
What was it? Am I with the right Bo? Is Bo knows? What was the tagline? Didn't they have a tagline for him?
I don't remember actually. I was really young at the time, so I don't remember what the tagline for him was, but I'm sure he did. A lot of them did though, because it just the popularity of people like that. But it was so amazing to see that he was playing 2 professional sports, and the physical demand this guy went through on a daily basis just had to be insane.
Well, here's another thing too. We talked to. Let's go to sports, right? Let's go to the mental health of players, athletes. Okay.
Exactly.
We've often told these kids, because I'm going to go at a younger level here. These kids that are football stars, that are athletes, they blow their knee out. We have to often remind them, you're not the quarterback. That's not who makes you who you are. What's in here who makes you are. So when you blow your knee out and it ruins your college career, we want these younger youth and even adults to be in the mindset of knowing you're not defined by that. Yeah. You're defined by what's in here. What's in here? How are you maintaining a good, healthy look of yourself? Football doesn't determine you or define you. It's just a talent you're really good at. Yeah, it's something you're really good at. I get when people go down on themselves, but we really want to reiterate to people that, you're not just defined by what you're good at.
Well, take, for instance, Travis Kelce's brother, right? Jason, like he was all into football. It was his whole life. And he has found life outside of that. And I think he was really, the whole retirement process was really hard for him and letting that go. But I think he found himself on the other side. So, people have to understand that if I lose something like that, that's not who I am. It's something.
Him and Travis actually openly discussed it on their podcast, New Heights. They were talking about that when Jason was getting ready to retire, and he ended up getting the announcer deal or whatever too. So the two of them openly have talked about it. So it was interesting to hear from his own words what he was thinking, and he still has all the memories. He said he still goes around Philly and people still recognize him and things like that too, which is so cool because he's like, I sign an autograph sometimes in jerseys and just hand them out randomly to people. I'm like, dude, that's so cool of him to do though, because a lot of people you meet, it's just like, they're always like, you always get the weird perception. A lot of these like stars you meet are like super dicks. Like, what is it? Michael Jordan got a really bad rap, but I mean, Michael Jordan's probably the greatest player to ever play the game, honestly.
Love me some Jordan. Yeah, I will say 100%.
That. But you know what I'm saying? It wasn't just Jordan. It was the fact that he made everybody around him even better, just like Kobe did. Yeah. A lot of these other guys that are one-man machines, it's he's just a piece in the machine. And, if was he a dick? He probably was. And there's stories you hear about people that are like these younger guys talking trash to him and things that always make me laugh on YouTube. You're watching them and they're talking about stories about how they line up against Michael Jordan. And I can't remember the guy's name, but one guy was talking shit to him the whole time. And he's just like getting him mad. He goes, "Oh, no, dude, you didn't do what I think you did." He's like, "Oh, what do you mean?" He's like, "You were talking trash to Mike. Don't do that. Don't do that to Mike." And Mike just smiles at the other guy. And he's like, "Mike, don't listen. He's just young. He doesn't know better." And Michael Jordan's just smiling at this guy after he drops 45 on him. And he goes, "This is why you don't talk trash to Mike, man." He was trying to teach the young kids that. I thought that was so funny when I'm watching these videos, these people talking about all these times that they were starting to intimidate him. And then he's like, "Okay, I got you. No, I got you. You want to talk some smack? I got you. I'm going to drop 45 on one of them." He called in on one guy. He's like, "I'm going to drop 45 on you." He goes, "No." And then he dropped 46. I was laughing hysterically. I'm like, "Oh my God, no."
I put my money on Michael any day.
I would too.
And it's great that, you bring up the mental health for sports players, because a lot of times those guys are under the microscope regardless. Like anything they do is magnified on a huge level, especially the big stars like Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, And was it Ben Roethlisberger when he was in that big incident with that one girl? We had that big case going on where they thought he had done something. Ray Rice abused that woman on the elevator. And it's like, you see these things and it's just like, these young guys are seeing this and they're thinking this is okay to do. Oh, hey, I make all this money so I can do whatever I want. No, you can't do that.
You cannot do that.
No, it can be a life-changing, for your career. It people look at you in a different light. And there, the flip side of that too, Pete, is there's a lot of pressure that these athletes have to deal with. Michael Jordan, I'm sure, didn't think of all the fame he was going to get.
Oh, no.
As he was growing from college into, NBA. He didn't know. And, when you've got that hitting you left and right all the time, I often wonder how these athletes process the stress of being famous, the stress of, if I make a mistake, it's all over the news. It's everywhere.
Because any of us who have played sports understand you're going to have a good and bad game, right?
Yeah.
You can't take away from that. And so what Brandy's saying is true. I mean, but it's under a microscope, like you're saying. And so every mistake they make is blown way out of proportion.
Oh, yeah. Imagine the death threats and things like that they get. Yeah.
We, the people, love feeding it too. We love feeding the conflict, all the negativity. We love feeding it. Right. And it's like a wildfire. It spreads and spreads and spreads. And I wish people would think about the person that's receiving all that negativity and how they're having to process this, because it can't be easy. Here they are doing their job, trying to win games, trying to be a positive influence. A lot of these athletes are giving back to tons of different charities and organizations, lifting kids up. And I would say to these athletes out there, if you're lifting up one person, ixnay all the negativity, because we don't care. Like, and I say that it's easy to say that. Maybe one day when we're high and famous, we'll feel the same stress of things. But I just wish people realize that we're human and we all make mistakes, and we all walk the same journey. We just go different paths every now and then, right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Kindness. It's back to kindness. And just think of the impact of saying positive things and how that would encourage them to do better, rather than constantly feeling the stress of, I can't make a mistake, right? Because in those situations, you're going to make a mistake because the stress is taking over.
But I also love how we will, it's a big game, and one player makes a mistake and they're blaming that person. You lost the game. I'm like, there's no I in team.
There's no I in team.
They all contributed at some point. It could be a bad ref. It could be a lot of things, right? Yeah. But we want to tag someone for one simple mistake, and it really tells society that we're not allowed to make mistakes. Yeah. And that's not the message we should be spreading.
And you also remember you have media too that amplifies as well. Oh no, they make a mistake. Sports Center and stuff like that will highlight, oh, they had a bad day. I think Space Jam brought it the most into light, if you think about it, because when Michael Jordan came home from the game and he struck out, and they were like talking about it, and the kid was talking to him, he said, look, they're talking about you. How did you do today? He's like, what did you have when you struck out? Well, everybody's really nice about it. Is what he said to everybody. But you're watching the news report, and the guy in the news is amplifying it, ramping it up even further, because he's like, oh, well, he struck out today. He's like, Mike, get this guy a golf club or something, and stuff like that. People are seeing, and that's fueling it even more too, because it's not helping it, because you're magnifying the fact that he just had a crappy day. And with baseball, it happens. Sometimes you go 1 for 6 or whatever. Some people go through real cold streaks and things like that. And I don't think a lot of people understand the pressure they go through. And everybody sees him as Michael Jordan or this and that, not a person. And it's the same thing with movie stars too. I had somebody on the show that he actually had a background in psychology, works with inspiring actors and things like that. And he was talking about a lot of that too. Could you just imagine the pressure, those things those guys go through? And in the movies, they get into the mindsets. And he even said he thought that the Joker role is what pushed Heath Ledger over the edge and unfortunately take his life.
That's what I've heard.
And that was his statement. I was like, you might be right, because the guys get so deep in these roles mentally that they lose themselves. They don't remember who they are, and then it takes them so long to come back out. I know Tom Hanks, when he did Castaway, I could only imagine what that guy's psychological state was like afterwards, because he was so isolated with just him and the fictitious, person he was calling Wilson as the ball, and I wonder how much of that stuff he actually was starting to see afterwards, and then Robin Williams is another one too. Yeah. Robin dealt with a lot of things in the backseat. Nobody had any idea. So I wonder if some of these impersonations he's doing weren't actually him hallucinating of these things too, because you kind of wonder, what his mindset was when he was on stage, because that dude had to be having a carousel of just emotions going on the whole time.
There's a lot of silent killers in that industry for sure. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't think people really understand. I mean, they idolize these people and put them on these pedestals, and they don't realize the harm that's doing.
And I don't know about you, but there's times whenever I'm okay being out and about and people talking to you and recognizing you, but there's times too when I just want to be me.
I think it's about how people recognize you. It's like if they start running up to you screaming at you, it's different than going to say, hey, listen, I know who you are. Because we had an experience like that. If Vinnie Paul from Pantera, we was frequenting the restaurant over there by the Six Flags here outside the Dallas area. He comes by, there's a restaurant right behind it called On the Border where he was at. He comes in all the time there. And he came in, and you notice it's him. Like, there's no mistaking. Ball cap, metal hair. There's no way this guy isn't standing out. Right. And everybody else got excited he was there. And there's one guy that had no idea who he was. It was so funny because he goes up to Vinny and he goes, hey, listen, everybody's excited here, man. I'm not sure who you are, but I'll be taking care of you today. I was just like, no, dude, you didn't do that to him. Stop.
You probably loved it.
I would have loved that, because I'd have been like, you know what? I just want to be normal. I am normal. I just want to be normal, right?
Well, we had the guidelines, though. If he was with his significant other, we didn't bother him. If he was at the fellas, you could approach him differently. It was different. If it's him and the guys that come in, you could come up to him and actually to talk to him for a minute and say hi. But when he's with his significant other, we all had a major rule. We didn't pass him. He was your person. You didn't make a big deal about it. You treat him like a normal person. You don't amplify it further. We all know who he is. Obviously, we can tell by the complete description of him. You know exactly who that is, and things like that, and you want to make him feel as comfortable as possible, because he would keep coming back in. Then obviously, You know, we also had Hank Blaylock, who played for the Rangers before he got big. He came in too one time. He was hanging out in the bar area, and nobody else recognized who he was around him until someone started realizing who it was, and they started making a deal. Then he left. I'm like, it's like, just give these guys some space, man.
Yeah, they just want to be normal. They just want to live their lives. They want to know that they can come outside and be normal like anybody else, despite what they're doing in life. So I think that's so important, because if I see someone that is famous, I've done it many times, and I don't feel like I'm not going to go up to them and say hi. They're not going to remember me anyway. And it's not a photo. I don't care if I get my photo.
They might remember you actually a lot. I know Kevin Nash is probably the most recognizable person when it comes to this. He remembers a lot of these people he interacts with, because he does a podcast too, but his is a little different. He doesn't talk only wrestling. He talks about just general conversation between him and his co-host, Sean. And Sean will ask him, like, hey, some of these people have met comments, say, hey, I got to meet Kev. And he goes, Kev, do you remember these guys? And sometimes he remembers these people. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember interacting with them and things like that, which is so cool, because, at the end of the day, he'll tell you the same thing. I'm just a person, man. Like, yeah, I played this character on TV and things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm just a normal person, He's like, if I'm up in public with my wife, I don't want you coming and asking me for my autograph and things like that. He said, but usually I'm real nice about doing that kind of stuff, and things like that. And he's like, he loves interacting with people too. And he remembers a lot of them too. So you never know. They could remember you.
Well, they may, but I say that just about just being able to allow them to be.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And knowing that, they have a different talent than I have,
Yeah.
I mean, I have a talent that may not have made me famous to where everybody recognizes me, but I don't want people running up to me. And I'm sure, Karla's different. She wants everybody running up to her.
I like attention.
Karla loves attention. But, and there you have it. You've got a conversation to where you're able to say, I like this, I don't like this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it is what it is. So I think we just need to be able to focus on loving people, accepting them for who they are, lifting them up.
Yeah.
And honestly, being brutally honest sometimes when you have to be brutally honest with them, tell them, hey, I don't agree with this, or maybe you should think of doing it a certain way. She delivers it a lot better than I do, but it's being delivered. And so, there's certain things that I've learned just being with her that I need to go ahead, file it down a little.
Oh yeah, I have to smooth her on the rough edges a little bit.
but there's some people that want me to be brutally honest with them, and then if they don't want me to, I just send them to Karla.
Right? Here you want the soft answer? Go talk to Karla. She's got you covered on this one.
Yep.
I'll just give you the straight edge answer. It just depends which one you like.
Yep.
I would love for the trend to be back down to being kind to others and really getting out of all this judgmental. I mean, judging people for everything, and we're just seeing people become more divided. And, I feel like we've taken so many steps backwards from all that people in history have fought for. We've taken 10 steps backwards.
Yeah.
And so I just wish people would really focus on, I can make a powerful difference just being kind.
Right, exactly. Well, ladies, I'm going to start wrapping up this episode. Did you want to plug where we can find you? I know you have your podcast. It's on Spotify, pretty much everything, right? Am I not correct?
Yep, we're on all the main platforms. If you want to reach us or look up our website, because we are more than just a podcast, Pete. We do also mental health training. We do corporate training. We do school trainings. We speak to parents. We do it all. So,
and that's mentalperk.org for the website. And we also have our YouTube channel, so you can watch us on video.
I have all the links down below in this video for everybody, to anybody watching it at a later date. Guys, ladies, I appreciate y'all coming. It was so great having you.
Thanks for having
I definitely invite you to come back again, because this was a great conversation. I really did.
I'd love to be back.
Definitely. All right, guys, I'm Pete vs. Anxiety. You know where to find me. I'm at X all the way down to TikTok, Spotify, all the way down to iHeartRadio. And as we say, it costs nothing, absolutely nothing to be kind to somebody. One kind act you can do can save someone's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete vs. Anxiety, saying, hey, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey,